What's up guys, Diego here from ProNDC. Welcome to another ESO build video. So I want to continue with the veteran Maelstrom arena builds, and today I have the Magicka Templar build for the Homestead update that I currently use. This build is not anything like really new. I've used a very similar build in the past already, and you can play a completely different playstyle now. I think like Andy S is using dual wield and destruction staff, so he can be a little bit more aggressive, do more damage, but he knows the arena pretty well. And I myself prefer to show you a more safer approach, and still I know people even on console that use the destruction staff and the restoration staff, which is much safer, and they still do 548k plus scores on Magicka Templar, which is really good. So you just need to get some practice and you can still do really high scores with this setup. But if you want to go for 590k plus, you'd probably be better off with dual wield and destruction staff. But anyway, I want to start with stats first. I want to make this a little bit shorter. I'm sitting at 42.8k max Magica, 17.1k maximum health, but I'm maxed out on CP, as you can see, 791 Magica recovery, 2.3k spell damage, 65% spell crit. And I'm using a Thief Stone, max health and max Magica buff food. Buffed with my spell damage potion, a spell power potion, and like this I'm sitting at almost 900 Magica recovery, 2.8k spell damage, and that's pretty much it. So my resistances are at 19.4k spell and almost 15k physical resistance, which is really high. For gear, actually pretty simple. I'm using 5 pieces of Julianos, everything in Divines of course, all Magica. You get spell crit, max Magica, spell crit, and almost 300 spell damage if it's in legendary quality. You, however, do not have to make it gold. If it's just purple, it's completely fine. This won't make like a huge DPS difference. And even in VMA, I used to play in purple only gear, and it's working completely fine. I'm using 2 pieces of Grothdar, which gives me maximum Magica. Then I also have the 10% chance when I deal damage to create this lava pool around me. And it lasts for 5 seconds and has a 10-second cooldown. And the radius is actually pretty big. So if I get this, I move towards enemies, or I try to position myself between enemies so everyone gets hit by the lava pool, which is really important. So positioning in VMA is key. It's really important that you like place your dots and try to like lure your enemies into the dots, or AoEs, not the dots, I'm sorry, on the AoEs, and then position yourself with your Grothdar when it activates between the mobs so everyone gets hit. It's not good if you have like 3 enemies like here, and here, and you activate your Grothdar and you just keep staying here and do damage like this. Try to go between all the mobs and then do damage like this, so everyone gets hit with the Grothdar. Really important. You get Grothdar, the Helmet and Vault of Madness, and you can craft Julianos. It's really important. You can craft this one. You could go with Burning Spellweave, but I personally prefer Julianos over Burning Spellweave. It's a little bit like my own preference. You could use Burning Spellweave, you could use Julianos, you could use even Scathing Mage is good on Magicka Templar. Most people don't know it, but Scathing Mage is actually good on Templar. The uptime is not that bad. You can even proc it with your jabs and then with the heavy attacks and all that stuff. It's not that bad, trust me, people. But Burning Spellweave is easier to farm than Scathing Mage, and Julianos is even easier because you can craft it. You only need 6 traits research. So if anyone in your guild can craft it for you, just get it crafted. Then I'm using 3 pieces of Willpower. You could use Moondancer. The difference is really small. Trust me, it's really small. But I personally prefer to have a little bit more maximum Magica in VMA, because the more Magica that I have, the less I struggle with resources personally, and my execute deals a little more damage. It's really a tiny difference, but there is a slight difference. So I prefer to go with Willpower instead of Moondancer. However, if I had a Moondancer Inferno Staff sharpened, I do not have one, I'd use 4 pieces Moon Dancer. I do not recommend to use Moon Dancer like this. So I looked at the tooltips on my skills. So if you have like 4 pieces Moon Dancer, jewelry, and 1 body piece, you'd lose if you do not have a Juliana's Restoration Staff. Your healing on the back bar will drop lower. So the tooltip here is 15.3k, and if I have 5 pieces of Juliana's on the back bar, it's 15.8k. So you shouldn't use it like that. So just use willpower, because you have more spell damage, and then your heals will be a little bit stronger. You can see it here, 16.4k. So the heals are even stronger with more Magica and more spell damage. So 3 willpower, 5 Julianos, and 2 Growthstar with a random staff on the front bar. On the back bar, however, you could use Maelstrom's Restoration Staff, and I recommend to use one. If you do not have one, you might want to swap a spell damage glyph out for either recovery or cost reduction. You might struggle with resources. I was a bit lucky because I keep getting Restoration Staffs over and over and over again. I do not know why. And the Restoration Staff is really good because it helps me with resource management. I get some spell crit, it's precise, and every time my regeneration skill heals critically, every 4 seconds I get back 481 Magica. So it's a little bit more than 100 Magica each second that I get back. It's not a lot, but it still helps a little bit with recovery or resource management. So front bar, a sharpened Inferno Staff with the Berserker enchantment, or weapon damage enchantment, increasing weapon and spell damage by 348 for 5 seconds, and then the Maelstrom's Restoration Staff on the back bar. Personally, I think like best on slot would be a VMA Inferno Staff. I have one here. Yeah, Inferno Staff. I keep getting bullshit trades here. I get some more spell damage, which is nice, and my light and heavy attacks deal some additional damage if I have my blockade down, which is also nice. That's like pretty much it for gear. As I said, Burning Spellweave, Scythian Mage will also work, but Juliana's is like easier to get, and it's like much safer because it doesn't need a proc. Maybe you're not lucky with your procs, and then Juliana's is a little bit better. So Juliana's, Growthstar, Willpower, random sharpen stuff on the front bar, VMA, restoration stuff on the back bar. For skills, I want to make this a little bit quicker. This is Puncturing Sweeps. It heals us. It is actually not like the main DPS skill. It kind of is, but most of the fights I start with a heavy attack, then I use Reflective Light, and most of the times people die then anyway, or they in Execute Rage, and I can finish them with Radiant Glory. But if there's AoE, if AoE required, use Puncturing Sweeps. It heals you. It's basically our main heal. Then Reflective Light. The initial damage is really good. Then we have damage over time effect, can hit up to 3 targets, which is good. Personally, I think Vampire's Bane might even be better in VMA. I'm not entirely sure, but Vampire's Bane will also work fine. So either morph is good. Blockade of Fire. An AoE, really strong. Make sure to have it down all the time and to like place it correctly. So like if there's 2 enemies, like one is at the table and one is standing here, don't put it down like this, because this enemy won't get hit. If they're like ranged enemies, try to move here and try to hit them both with a blockade, so both get damage. It's really important. Then if your Growthstar activates, move between them and do damage like this. Really important. So positioning is key, as I said. Radiant Glory or Execute. I chose this morph because it heals myself. And sometimes, because it's a channel ability that lasts for 2.9 seconds, it's really important that you have a heal while you cast Radiant Glory, and the heal over time from mutagen is not enough to like survive all the time, so I really recommend to go with Radiant Glory. Inner Light increases our max Magicka by 5%, and also from the passive from Mage's Guild. Magicka Controller, I get 2% more Magicka recovery and also 2% more max Magicka because I have it slotted here. Then I have Fiery Rage, the Destro ultimate, really freaking strong. I use it whenever I can. It's really expensive, 240 ultimate, but you have it up all the time, or most of the time, because there's a lot of undead and or like Daedra in this arena, and we have the passive from Fighter's Guild, Banish the Wicked, generates 9 ultimate whenever I kill an undead Daedra or werewolf. Back bar, channel focus, buffing our resistances and gives us back 240 Magicka every second, really nice. Mutagen, this procs our Maelstrom enchantment, really good. Heals me for 16.4k HP over 20 seconds, non-crit. I like the crit heals are sitting at 2.5k, I guess. Is it critting? I'm not sure. You can see it here. Really, really small, but it should be like around 2.5k crits and 1.6k non-crit. Really, really nice. And if I have my my focus down, it even heals for more 3.1k crits and 1.9k non-crits. So make sure to have these skills up almost all the time because they're really important for your resource management. Then I have Rearming Trap. Actually, this skill is like a flex spot. I still like to use it, even though it costs stamina. Increases my my critical damage because I get minor force, and also it roots enemies. And it keeps them away from us a lot of times, which is really nice. And after it activates, it rearms itself, so you can put down multiple traps, which is also really good. Harness Magicka. You do not need Harness Magicka, but it restores Magicka up to 3 times when I get hit by a Magicka ability. And you can almost like cast it for free. So for resource management, this skill is really, really good. And most of the times I use this. Then I have Healing Ward here. This is like my oh shit button, my emergency shield that I use only when I'm dropping really low, because then this shield is really strong. Depending on how low I am, the shield size is increased by almost 300%, which is really, really good. And then also after 6 seconds, if you will get healed by 105% of the remaining shield size. Then I have Shooting Star here. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. Like if I really need an ultimate on one boss and I do not have my Fiery Rage up, I will use Shooting Star because it's cheaper, and also I get 12 ultimate for every enemy hit. So I can get back ultimate faster with Shooting Star, and also it gives us 2% more max Magicka on the back bar. Champion points. So pretty simple here. I have 100 in Magician, maximum cost reduction. I have 87 in Arcanist for some recovery, and then I have 13 points in Tumbling. Really important because we do not have like a gap closer or any like speed buff here. So we need to do dodge rolls a lot of times to get closer to enemies, which is really important. We'll start with the red tree first. So I have 10 points in the quick recovery to get a little bit more healing. You do not need to put them there. 90 into Hardy and 100 into Elemental Defender. You could put some points into Spell Shield, but your spell resistance is high anyway. And I think like the cap for light armor or spell resistance is 18k. You could unlock Phase, like to get a little bit more resistance for 3 seconds, but since your resistance are high anyway, you do not need that. So 19, 110 is personally is what I prefer on the Templar. Then I have 66 points into Thaumaturge, 2 into Staff Expert because we do a lot of heavy attacks at the start of a fight, 42 into Elfborn, 6 into Spell Erosion, and 84 into Elemental Expert. We do have a lot of damage over time effects, and like all our skills are damage over time effects, so Thaumaturge is really important to put a lot of points into there. And that's like pretty much it for this setup. Now I will go to the first arena. How long does it last? 29 minutes. To the first arena and show how this build works in action. I really hope I do not screw up and die here. Might happen. If I do, you will see a cut now. So what you want to do is like buff yourself with mutagen, put down your focus, pop a potion, put down trap, your blockade, then start a heavy attack, and then use reflective light, and then finish up with radiant glory, like this. Put down the blockade again, charge a heavy attack. You see, they die really fast. Then I use Fire Rage here. That's the first round. Of course, make sure that your like channel focus is down a lot of times, or almost all the time. And as you can see, I'm almost full on Magica. Works like this like almost all the time. And then I use a meteor here. Pretty simple, to be honest. Sometimes I keep forgetting to reapply my blockade. As you can see, it's pretty simple, but I've played the arena a lot of times, so I know all the spawns. So this is like really important that you know when everything spawns. And that was the first arena. I screwed up a little bit at the first boss, but like at the final boss of the first stage. But that's pretty much how the build works. So you do a lot of heavy attacks and use reflective light at the start. Sometimes I screwed up, so I'm still like learning how to get done the timing, and can still like do really decent scores. Like my best score here in this class was 554k, which is nice, but I haven't done the arena on Magicka Templar as often as with like Magicka Nightblade and Sorcerer. So that's it for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the build video. If you did, I hope you will leave a like, and if you do not want to miss any more ESO content on my channel, leave a subscription. I'd really appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time. So until then, bye bye.